Let me get my bearings real quick and we'll get started. So, good afternoon and welcome everyone. My name is Joe Applebaum. I'm the founder of Calm HR, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to be here. I truly appreciate it. I want to take you down a journey for the next 45 minutes or so, some concepts that I'll share. You may know about them, you may have seen, and some may shock you. And that's okay, because if they have and you didn't think it possible, you might like what you see. So I'm going to help push the envelope a little bit. I'll introduce myself real quickly. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, raised in Manalapan, Englishtown, New Jersey, and I'm the founder of both Potomac Companies and Calm HR. I attended Carnegie Mellon University and graduated from Rutgers, and after that I joined the insurance industry, where I quickly found I didn't like what I saw. So during the last 30 some odd years, I started Potomac Companies and made it one of the top employee benefits and HR consulting firms in the DC metropolitan region. But when I started my business, I meant to make a difference in people's lives and to be transparent and to establish long-standing relationships. We currently have over 24 30-plus year relationships. So during those times, I have fostered many a law firm relationship. I am also the consigliere to the DC Bar Association for 34 of those 38 years. When I did that, I noticed a lot of the same problems. I don't have time for this. I have more projects than I can handle, and managing partners and attorneys just like herding cats. So therefore, am I right? Is that the job of a ALA member or a legal administrator? So I am going to take you down this pathway on the three challenges that I have seen. And those three challenges pretty much are everyone's. Balancing all aspects of HR and administration and compliance, which is a new, very large issue. Building a digital dexterity is another big challenge. Automating processes, leaving paper behind, and Excel's behind. Well, finally, attracting and retaining top talent. That's the huge challenge. So how do you compete with other firms and larger firms that can potentially offer more? And how do you stand out? What makes your firm different? So with those challenges in mind, I'm going to show you how to redeem time to focus on your business goals and objectives, not in the business and in the weeds. How to simplify and automate administrative back office tasks, and how to maximize retention and recruitment top talent for every size firm. So let's get going. By a show of hands, and now please use that little feature about raising your hand, how many of you can relate to this picture? So you could be the managing partner, you could be an administrator, or anyone else in a management position. Are you drowning in paperwork? Are you still using Excel? Are you wearing too many hats? Are you stuck in the weeds? So I've seen this over 38 years. That's because there are a lot of moving pieces in a law firm. You have the basics like recruitment, training, benefits, payroll, compliance. I call that belly button management. Not to mention the partners, preparing budgets, and let's face it, they're all partners. So the list goes on and on and on. Maybe you handle all of them, maybe you only handle part of them. But what it looks like for your firm can be different than everyone else here, but ultimately the same challenge is balancing your time. So a recent Harvard Business Review study showed that managers spend over half their time with administrative work. Now, I'm going to say it this way. That's working in the business, working in the firm. 7% engaging in developing people. So as you can see, this pie chart is not exactly what you'd like. What does yours look like? How much time do you spend on administration? And if you could draw your own chart, what would it look like? Well, why 54%? Multiple systems, different vendors, and little or no communication between them. No integration with systems. Every aspect is managed internally and often manually. And guess what? You're the wearer of all those hats. You're the one with all those arms. The duties and responsibilities are piled onto an employee or partner's already stacked workload. The point I'm trying to make is that it should be flipped. A manager in a firm or a managing partner should be spending the majority of their time developing people, strategies, and engaging with the stakeholders, partners. They should be spending more time working on business strategies, innovation, and culture. That's another big word for today, rather than being stuck in the weeds. So, how do you do that? How do you flip those charts? Well, first thing is, how do you reduce the time spent on administration? How do you avoid the weeds? So I'm going to ask everyone a question here. Have you ever considered a PEO? For those of you who don't know what it is, it's a professional employer organization, not typically for law firms. Under a PEO, a small to medium-sized law firm can have everything all at once under the same roof, or the same umbrella, if you will, to streamline, simplify the entire back office. It actually makes you look bigger than you actually are. Think about your own processes for a second. When you hire a new employee, how many different systems do you go into? How many systems do they go into when they need to change something? I don't know, an address, a benefit, a beneficiary? So while that's only one facet of it, if it's more than one system, errors occur. And that leads to repeating the process over and over and over again. PEOs, which I know a lot about, have consistently grown at about 7.6% per year. In 2020, when the rest of the United States was shrinking, PEOs only dropped about 0.4% compared to the 6% of the economy. In other words, they're stable. But again, they weren't built for law firms. Here's where it comes in and changes. I built Calm HR. I took the last 38 years of experience working with law firms, having a brother that's an attorney, and yes, you guessed it, we're a PEO. But we were built on a foundation of understanding law firms. Remember, I'm the consigliere to the DC Bar Association. It's not just for law firms, but I built it with you in mind. In other words, if it can work in a law firm, it can work anywhere. So we base a lot of it off of the KISS, Keep It Simple Solution method, which we created. And yes, I own the trademark on KISS. And even though Gene Simmons and KISS was my first concert in 1975 at Madison Square Garden, he doesn't own this. It's a concept. It's a concept that we apply to HCM, Human Capital Management. What does that mean? Belly button management. I don't care if they're partners, associates, or paralegals. This KISS program is the entire life cycle of a staff member. From all the colors in the rainbow, it starts with pre-hire and onboarding, and HR and compliance and payroll. And it walks you through every facet of the life cycle of that person, not their entire person for their whole life, only while they're with you. So if that process is defined, by the way, customizable, and there is another area in here that's in purple on the left-hand side, culture and performance, customized ability to build out your culture. So whether you run your current performance review on an Excel spreadsheet or in a other system, it's all baked into one here. It encompasses everything from pre-hire to post-termination. So most importantly, what we have built doesn't replace anyone. You know your employees better than anyone. Some people think that a PEO takes over their employees. That's not it. It's just a back office solution. It replaces multiple processes and systems, and it reduces or eliminates administrative burden. So at the start, we addressed the challenges and our objectives. Good news, the first two go hand in hand. When you partner with a PEO and you bring everything under one roof with one vendor and one system, you're simplifying and automating your entire back office, which equals reclaimed time. That time can be used wisely to elevate the organization. So get you out of the weeds and get you into the focus of what? Growing the firm. And I don't mean size necessarily. It might be efficiency, it might be profitability, it might be the relationships with outside entities, your clients, or internally with your employees and your staff. Think of that employee or staff member or even associate that's a C player. Can you now spend some time to make them a B player? Or recognize that they don't need to be there? Go hire someone else. So, is everybody on board so far? Let me turn your attention to attraction and retention. It's number 3 on our hit parade. In a recent PwC survey, 88% of companies are experiencing a higher turnover rate than normal, also known as the Great Resignation. We live in a post-pandemic world right now. It's digital, it's remote. So while I came from the New York, New Jersey area, think about this. Can they work for a firm in New York and be on the beach in Miami? Yeah, they can be. So guess what? They're applying for positions everywhere, even the ones that work for you. So there's a greater need to attract and retain. How do you do that? Well, most of you that are on board today, and we have right now on here 31 participants, and we'll have more, which will probably run over on their meetings. But what happens when a small to medium-sized firm loses an employee? Well, when a big one loses it, it's easy. They just fill in the gaps. But when it's a smaller firm, the impact is very high. Forget about, and I've seen this happen, oh gosh, maybe a dozen times, where a partner leaves, takes an associate or two and a paralegal with them. That creates an enormous hole. And guess what? Sometimes firms struggle to actually recover from something like that. So let's go to the next. If you're going to attract and retain, how does partnering with a PEO help you? Quite simple. The same PwC survey notes that employee benefits is the number 2 reason to start looking for another job. Let's face it, we just can't keep paying people an extra $10,000, $20,000 a year. It just doesn't happen unless maybe that firm is more efficient. So think total compensation, benefits, PTO, and the likes. I've spoken at a number of conferences, and PTO is a very, very big thing, like unlimited PTO. We actually did a survey for the DC Bar for that. So how can you, a small to medium-sized firm, and maybe there are some that are larger on today, offer the same benefits as that large firm? Can you compete? You'll operate the same way. I want you to understand one thing. If you're under 50 people, small group rates are the second highest cost in the country. Individual costs are the highest. Once you reach 50, you get a little bit of a respite, but you eat what you kill, so to speak, or you reap what you sow. In other words, 50 to 200 employees, they're under a microscope. As you get bigger and bigger and bigger, if you are an Arent Fox or a much bigger organization, you have potentially lower costs, like a Kirkland and Ellis or a Baker McKenzie. But if you're under 100 employees, it's hard to compete on every level. So if these were fish, the big fish might eat the little fish. Plus, they have access to Fortune 500 benefits and systems. But if you aggregate multiple firms, now you're the same size. Now you have what they have. And you can operate similarly to a larger firm, all while maintaining your independence. You want to go to the left, you go to the left. A PEO doesn't change that. It won't hobble you. It actually allows you to grow. So I'm going to give you a quick one. Last 4 decades, healthcare costs have gone skyrocketing. When my father was buying a health policy for our family in the early 80s, guess what? $40 for a single, $75 a month for a family. Right. Now it's over $500 for a single, depending upon where you are in that pool, and even upwards of $3,000 for a family. And by the way, that's with high deductibles. Incomes haven't kept up, which creates a financial barrier to care. So think of your single parent paralegal or associate. Can they actually afford their deductible, even if you subsidize it? What about their out-of-pocket costs? Those out-of-pocket costs for that individual could be 10, 15, 20% of their entire salary. So it's time to rethink attraction and retention. Eliminate the financial barrier to care. Now, I'm hoping the next few slides will raise some eyebrows. In a couple of minutes, I'm going to also collect some feedback. See what you think. We, ComHR, are flipping healthcare on its head. Our Manage to Zero program, and yes, I trademarked it, has no upfront deductibles or copays, no out-of-pocket costs, as long as you stay in network. And you probably don't have to change your carrier. There is one copay, one out-of-pocket, if you go to the emergency room and you're caught and released or not admitted. So just like when I and my kids go fishing, we release fish. That's the easiest medical plan to explain to anybody. Worst case scenario, it costs you $100. Otherwise, when you're in the network, it costs you nothing. So through a PEO relationship, we can implement this for any size firm, even those big boys. So you question, are the employees satisfied? We're pegged at 100% for all of the people that are underneath this program. Haven't had anyone dissatisfied yet. Productive employees are happy employees. Or should I say happy employees are productive employees. They're not worrying about the family deductible. They're not worrying about their children's medical expenses and how they pay it and what the plan is and how it works. God forbid you change plans and you change carriers. You know. So I'm going to give you an example. I got a call from a client's employee at the end of last year. And for HIPAA purposes, I will protect the innocent. He had approximately one prescription, $8,000 a month, besides all his other expenses. He hit his $7,000 out of pocket every single year. He only earned $72,000 a year, and he's an A player. The owner loves him. He called me and said, Joe, I can't tell you how much of a blessing this was. I've just reclaimed $7,000 a year out of my pocket. You don't know what this done for me and my family. So do you think he's looking for another job? And he's an A player. He's not. Point is, you don't know what people are going through. Not everybody knows the expense of the medical care that someone is getting. So while we know that employee satisfaction is at 100% today, what about the firm? What about the employer? How much does a program like this cost? You can't afford it. Yes, you can, actually. 78% of the time, the employer actually saves money and the program costs less than they pay today. The other 22% are either similar or more than they pay today, but they're getting more bang for their buck. So it's a business decision. Me, ComHR, and Potomac companies are on the 22% side. Implementing this program has cost my business a bit more, but the employee satisfaction is through the roof, and it outweighs the additional cost. I just hired a single mom with 3 kids in Indiana, and guess what? She has an amazing resume. Guess what? We have an amazing resume. She was floored that a small business could give her this. Point is, she chose us because we're not only able to offer great salary and everything, it's a total compensation. No one else can compete with this. So this is a game changer, people, for attraction and retention. Here's another example, and I'm going to give you two case studies. Here's an organization in DC, Washington, DC, with 44 people on the plan. In 2021, they had a 12% increase. Okay, everyone gets 12% increases. It's the same. We're used to it. We're immune, actually. Guess what? Managed to Zero actually reduced their cost by 20%, which was a 29% swing. 192,000 saved, no out-of-pocket costs. Same carrier. Guess what? Their 23 renewal, zero. That's a grand slam home run. Here's a larger organization. Guess what? They were facing a 33%. Y'all ever seen a 33, 40% increase? It's out there. Well, eliminated every deductible, every copayment except for the emergency room. People have to understand the value of not using it as their doctor's office. Took the increase from 33 to 4, which was affordable. Renewal year 1/1/23 was close to zero, 0.29%, not even a 0.5%. That's not only a game changer and saving hundreds of thousands of dollars, it eliminates the barrier of care to your staff. So if you can do that, you can now reduce your attrition, your turnover. Employee satisfaction goes up, turnover goes down. You can attract and retain top talent. Yes, I raised my voice. Top talent. And now you can actually compete with that larger firm or the firm right across the street from you that's the same size. You actually stand out. So on top of this, there's one more possibility, a strong one. That 78% of you will actually reduce your cost. So like I said earlier, I'm going to ask for feedback. Raise your hand if A, you're either shocked and never heard this before, or you're shocked and it sparked interest. We'll keep track of who raises their hand. And typically when I show this to a law firm, a C-suite, they are truly amazed. How can we offer a richer plan for the same or less? Manage to Zero is a game changer, but you have to understand how it works. We're seeing a lot of hands go up right now. So I guess this is a good thing. Keep this in mind when we get towards the end of our presentation. So like I said, we have what? We have, I don't know, a lot of opportunities to change the dynamic for attraction and retention. Aside from healthcare, what else is there? There are many, many programs. 401k is another one. Guess what? You might think, well, everyone's got a 401k. Ours is good. Who cares? Well, the Department of Labor cares because you're on their radar. And there are more lawsuits than ever on this subject. So I want to show you what it could look like through a PEO. And you don't have to change any structure. You can offer any type of program. But now through a PEO, a law firm, can offer a PEP, a pooled employer 401k, one that is not on the DOL's radar, one where you don't have to do much, like the Volkswagen Sign and Drive commercial. We take multiple groups and pool them together so we have economies of scale. This became law on 1/1/21. It was made available to the PEO industry by me on 1/1/21 from the DOL and Secure Act. We started the first one in the arena. So it's a very new program, but is it really new? It's still a 401k. You don't realize how many people value what it could mean for their business. So let's talk about this, but I'll quickly show you what it looks like. There are two little case studies, one for a very small firm on the right, an organization in Maryland, only 15 participants, somewhere between $1.5 million and $2 million. Increased the fiduciary support, lowered the cost by 25%. Okay, win-win. They didn't change the functionality of what their 401k was structured as. How about a large organization with 19 million? By the way, the 15 still has to file a short 5,500. No more. The pooled employer plan does. What about the big one, 225 people? Guess what? In the 225 people, we eliminated all their time and effort involved in prep and administration. Audit prep is gone. Their audit costs went from $25,000 a year to $5,000 because they're no longer being audited individually. The PEP gets audited. And we upgraded all their advisory services. This one was more of a grand slam. We reduced their total footprint of finance costs by over 40%. Now that is both the employer's money and every single employee's money inside. So you have to grasp that you're making it more efficient for them, and then you can't have a negative with an employee. In other words, disgruntled employee is not going to look at a PEP and say, oh, it's priced too expensively. It's not. So if you want to reduce, and I mean significantly reduce, your time and administrative workload, it's almost nothing. No loan or hardship provisions. It's handled outside of payroll. It's not even in payroll anymore. It mitigates risk to the firm. You offer a richer plan, which is at a lower cost to the firm. You get greater investment access and lower costs for your employees. So if the answer is anything yes to any one or more of these, this may be an avenue for you. Is it? I don't know. So if you're trying to attract and retain people, top talent, is the grass going to be greener for them? A medical plan that has no deductible or copays other than one? I'm telling you, I have a lot of friends who are partners in law firms. They know their business well. They hate insurance. I guarantee you every single one of them can explain this. You have to stay in network. There are no deductibles and copays unless you are not admitted and you get released from the emergency room, cost $100. Okay, there you go. Everyone now is an expert. If you do these types of things with the retirement and the manage to zero, should you implement those things, it shows you care about the employees. It changes the dynamic of the employee-employer relationship, and it strengthens the appeal of your firm. It is a differentiator. How you use it as such is your decision. On the flip side, when you are retaining an employee, think about one thing. You don't know what's going on in their lives. As much as they work for you, you really don't know. If they leave or they're telling you they're leaving, it's too late. So think about those charts, flip it on its head, and look and explore the options of what you have available. The best-in-class retirement plans, lowest cost, no cost out-of-pocket medical plan. Grass isn't greener. So if you like the idea of eliminating literally all of the administrative workload, if you like the idea of simplifying and automating your back office, or exploring a PEP or a manage to zero plan, these are the ideas that come about through our Calm HR PEO. I'm going to ask again, one more question. Are any of these thoughts floating in your head? Raise your hand. They're going to take note of it. I know. What's the lift? There's a tremendous lift. I don't want to be part of that. What do I got to do? So I'm going to say it all starts with a discovery call. Why? Because somebody in India is going to have a call with you. No, I'm going to have a call with you. What I meant by that is it's not outsourcing. We're not going to another country. We're the subject matter experts. So just as I do with DC bar firms, ALA administrators need to know that we're here for you to support you. No two firms are the same. So it all starts with that discovery call. We run comparisons. We want to understand how your firm is structured, what your goals are. Hey, what your culture is like. So if your culture is one about inclusion and sharing versus three people at the top and everybody works for the three people, we take that all into consideration. How are you structured? What do you want to look like tomorrow? So when we run our comparisons, we do it under an NDA. Why? We want to protect your data. Once you make a decision, we have an information that we need to get started. Our typical implementation takes just 3 or 4 hours of your time over a 30 to 60 day period. That's it. And that's what it takes to become operational. And we do this all for you. We do all the lifting. We'll just ask you questions and ask you for some files. So I have to say, though, if you think about it, your partners might not agree. Or maybe there's a partner on this call. You feel uncomfortable approaching the partner or the other partners. Remember 5 things. Everything's under one roof. It's organized, it's clean, it's efficient, it's reportable, and it's customizable, which gives you clean processes and greater efficiencies. Guess what? You'll mitigate risk away from the firm or from the person signing the documents. You'll gain access to richer benefit and retirement plans. There's a high probability that there'll actually be a cost savings. You'll have more tools to attract and retain top talent, compete with larger firms, or the other boutique firm that's right across the street from you, or on the 3rd floor in your building. You get to stand out from the crowd. Gain access to an entire support team of subject matter experts and HR professionals in employee benefits, retirement, employment law, HR, and compliance. And you might have your own employment attorney on staff. That's great. But you want to use up their $500 an hour time internally? Only when needed. So the cherry on the top, the icing on the cake, because you know your partner's better, well, what's in it for me? So we have specialized programs for partners. What do I mean by that? So how many of you know that most partners don't go in network? I've heard that story a lot, thousands of times actually. So how would the partners like a tax deduction on everything that they do with respect to medical, dental, vision, mental health, and the likes? Think concierge doctors. I had one attorney tell me it's costing $8,000 a year. They're very healthy. They don't need anything. I asked if they have a concierge. They said, yes, $8,000 a year. Phenomenal. I said, would you like a tax deduction on that $8,000? All of a sudden, she was interested. Guess what? We also have other programs like extreme amounts of life and disability benefits on a guaranteed issue basis. Those are only 2 extra arrows in my quiver. We love dialogues, okay? So finally, you're thinking it's not in your budget. And I get that. Calm HR was built to be transparent and affordable, and that's why we work on a per employee per month basis. We don't take a percentage of payroll. We don't hide fees. We're transparent at $100 per employee per month. Oh, there you go. We can't afford it. Since Calm HR covers the entire life cycle, though, you'll offset a percentage of that cost by removing a payroll system, possibly a learning management system, or any other system that overlaps. Plus, the potential costs savings from the PEP and the MTZ program can actually absorb all the cost. How so? Well, let's look at it. Here's an example. And currently, we have 29 participants on here. What do I mean by absorb the cost? So if you have 50 staff members, including partners, that's 60,000 a year. 15,000 of that goes away from payroll. Benefits portal doesn't usually cost anything, but it's usually not integrated. Trading system could cost about 4,000, that goes away. The K plan will probably save, based upon this size, about 15,000 a year. And the Manage to Zero program should probably bring it down by about 40. But we won't know that without doing an analysis. Now, these are best case scenario? No, this is conservative. This is not a best case scenario. So under this example, you're actually saving 14,000 over your current situation with more benefits, more services, more white glove concierge support, and it went down. So what else? Well, I'll share with you the next thing. My slide deck just stopped. If you follow up with us after the fact and you want a dialogue just to kick the tires, whether you use this scan or the email you'll get from us after the meeting, just setting that up and having that meeting, should you decide sometime later this year to engage, we'll discount the fees by 35%. Now it looks like this. Guess what, people? This is a game changer. And I think it is because I built it. I'm not one to pull punches. If you think that this is a good thing, sign up. Spend 30 minutes with me. And it's not with someone else, it's with me. I will have a staff member taking notes because it's hard for me to do everything all at once. But here's a link to my personal calendar. You want to sign up, do it now while you have it on your mind, or you'll do it when you get the email. This link will be in that email as well. So I want to thank everybody for enjoying this conversation. I'll open it up to questions at this point in time.
Thanks, Joe, for the presentation. And if anyone does have questions, you can throw them in the chat module right now. We'll monitor those. One question that did come in just to get things started, you mentioned you had 38 years of experience. What would you say is the biggest issue right now that law firms face in the marketplace?
With respect to the pieces and parts that I've discussed, I would probably say inaction, procrastination, and analysis paralysis. Lawyers are very smart people. They built their education and training on it. But this is simple, to me at least, and to my team. So we see brick walls being put up only by the people that own the brick walls themselves. That's what I see.
Okay, and then as far as Calm HR as an ADP, could you just talk about why it's a solution that would be preferred over some other ADPs of the world?
Well, let me frame this. ADP is the 8,000-pound gorilla in the corner. They're huge, and so are the other ones in our marketplace. We built this to be transparent, subject matter expert driven, affordable. And so I would say when you add concierge services and a partnering, you get to become the best law firm that you envision. You get to choose what is next. Because the stuff behind the curtain where the wizard resides, all that administration and BS, that's easy for us. You could go to any PEO and start to change the dynamic. Any PEO. It's just a question of what that PEO will bring you. We built it for that. Okay, someone that I actually know. So, Mr. Metro asked, who are the companies providing health insurance? The same one you're with today. The Manage to Zero program is a program that is applied to a health plan, and it amplifies its existence. So our Calm HR program internally for our staff and certain other entities may be different than the one that Howard has today, Mr. Metro, or the one in California. So you can remain with the carrier of your choice, or you can then open it up to what we have. Ours is with Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield today. So we don't care what carrier it is. We don't care if it's Kaiser, United Healthcare, Aetna, Cigna, Care First, Anthem. Doesn't make a difference. It can work anywhere. I hope that answered your question. You have choice. That was a great question. You're welcome. Who else has a question? And it doesn't have to be around that one subject. It could be about any of the things I've touched upon. Does anyone have a question about the customization of the system? Does anyone have a question residing about why, if a PEO handles all these things, what happens to the people they work with today? I've seen this countless times. A partner refers in a friend or a sister or brother, and now the firm is talking to them and the next one and the next one and the next one. One of the facets of what I built is this. If you have the best in class and you have 4 partners in a law firm of 15, 20 people or more, you're not playing favoritism anymore. Whose partner or associate or person is referring a friend in? It keeps it clean and allows you to do your business, build the firm. They want to keep their personal finances with an advisor, go for it. Keep it outside the firm. That's just a personal statement. Can you tell everyone if they think of any questions after the fact? Yes, Demi, thank you so much. So if anyone, and all you have to do is take a snippet of this, take a print screen of it. We're going to be closing down in about 5 minutes or so, depending upon questions. But you may leave and have a question. Just email us. It's joe@calmhr.com. Who else might have a thoughtful question? Push the envelope, please. I love that. Think about your firm and what questions you would have inside your firm. You have an open forum right now. It might help someone else. They're either taking a nap or they're waiting for someone else to ask a question. So I'll answer it, one that might be on some people's minds. Joe, we see that you're based in Maryland and Florida. Okay, what about law firms in North Carolina or in California or in Ohio? Well, we're licensed everywhere and we talk to people everywhere. We're talking to a law firm in North Carolina right now with about 55 employees. We're talking with one in Ohio with about 26. We have several others that are dialoguing. There are about 110. keep in mind one thing, HR people and most firm administrators wear the hat of HR, but are not HR professionals in the sense of gone through training. You can gain a lot of experience from dialoguing with us. Wanda Waron asked, do you work with very small firms, 10 employees? Yes, we do. We work with all size firms. And at one point in my career, 20 years ago, I insured Aaron Fox. So I mentioned the name earlier. While not a 1,000 attorney firm, they are a sizable firm. But we also work with ones that are, sole props, and we actually illustrate how to simplify your lives immensely in a very small firm. What we offer is a package of services and products that will help you to eliminate, as Kenny Chesney says, all the noise. So thank you. That was a very nice question and very apropos. As a matter of fact, my 7th grade English teacher, Mrs. Cohen, taught me how to spell apropos. Does anyone have a question about anything about the systems, about the customization? Remember, I talked about culture earlier. Culture is very important. If an organization has 3 70-year-old partners and four paralegals, and that one day the firm is going to close its doors, so be it. But if the firm has people of different ages, but you're still operating like it's 1989, 1999, the song, then what we're offering is a chance to step into the 21st century in a sense that, hey, we do all the heavy lifting. You just tell us how you like it set up. Otherwise, we're just going to set it up for you. And if you want to start building the culture, you're starting to hire the 40-somethings and the 30-somethings, and they're looking at you a little cross-eyed saying, I have a firm like this that I talk to. Where's our online everything? Oh, no. You send a piece of paper over to the firm administrator. Really? How long are they going to last there? Okay. It's not an expensive proposition. It's easy to set up. We dialogue after we go through what it is you do, how you like it done, who are the moving pieces and players, and what you'd like to see happen in the next 3-5 years. We look around a curve, or at least I do. I know there's 2 or 3 more questions out there. Who else has something they'd like to ask? So for everyone listening, we started my career in insurance. It has morphed into human capital. I have been doing electronic connections for payroll and HR for 23 years. This is the culmination of 38 years in this industry and seeing around a curve. You all have a business to run, and you have competing issues for your time. We're here to assist you to level the playing field with you and other firms to allow you to move forward very simply and efficiently. I want to thank everybody for your time today. You'll be receiving an email from us and an email from ALA with the recording. If you choose to, have a dialogue with me for 30 minutes. The only investment of your time is 30 minutes, but it guarantees that you'll have a private discussion and you can ask all those private questions to me, and I'll be honest. Thank you, Caroline, for hosting. And is there anything else you'd like to do before we leave?
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, everyone, for attending. And please look for that email tomorrow, which we will send out with a link to the recording. Thank you for attending, and visit our event calendar to sign up for future webcasts through ALA. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.